Well, if Sunday's loss was a brutal one for you, don't worry. The sun will rise again, folks, as your Seattle Seahawks are still in the midst of the NFL playoff picture. On today's show, we will break down the best-case scenario for your Seattle Seahawks to win the division and to make the postseason. We'll break down how things stack up in the latest NFL playoff picture coming up in just a matter of moments. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. As we turn the page to a new week in the National Football League, we begin with a new battle here on Seahawks Today. We are going up against my guy Patrick Seatman and Vikings Now. You guys remember Seeps? He was with us for a long time on Seahawks Today, and then he betrayed us. Had to go over to Vikings Now, and he's heading up that show. He's doing a great job. We love Seeps, but we would love nothing more than to take him down in this sub-battle this week. I hear even Tex is hanging out over there with Vikings as well. So if you really want to stick it to Seeps and Big Tex, then go ahead and subscribe now to Seattle Seahawks Today. We want to beat the Vikings, not just on the football field, but off the football field as well, and win this sub-battle this week. Subscribe now for free for the latest happenings on your favorite team all season long right here on the channel. Let's begin with a look at the NFC playoff picture heading into tonight. The Lions have the number 1 seed at 12-2. They've already clinched up a playoff spot, but that division obviously is still up for grabs with the Lions-Vikings there. The Eagles at the number 2 spot, also at 12-2. The Bucks at the 3 hole at 8-6. The Rams at 8-6 as well, currently with the tiebreaker leading the division. More on that in a moment. The Vikings at 11-2 holding the 5. Packers at 10-4 holding the 6. And then the Commanders at 9-5 holding the 7 seed with Seattle at 8-6 in the hunt. One of my favorite football terms, by the way, for a multitude of reasons. So here's what you need to know. The Seahawks are currently tied for first in the NFC West. They just happen to be on the wrong end of the tiebreaker situation right now. They still control their own destiny. Despite how ugly things went on Sunday, it's not over. It's not over. Still time. Still 3 weeks left. They still don't need any help. They can get there on their own. So that's very good. Now, if you look at the odds for Seattle, and we'll show you these numbers coming up in just a bit, of the final 3 remaining games, the matchup against the Bears is the only game where Seattle is favored. So you could say they have their backs against the wall heading into this final stretch. Meanwhile, for the Rams, however, they are favored in all 3 of their remaining games to end 2024. So let's go through some numbers of where things stack up for Seattle at the moment. Currently, their playoff odds have dropped off after last night's loss. Just a 24% chance to make the postseason at this point in time. Going into the week, it was plus 50%, so that number's dropped off a bit. If it wasn't obvious, the best-case scenario is to win out. You win all 3, it doesn't matter what happens with the Rams or anything else. You win the division, you are in the postseason. And if you need any data on that, just to back me up, playoff odds are at 100% if they win out. All right, so now let's get into the little details here. If the Seahawks were to win against Minnesota and Los Angeles, but lose to Chicago, they're in great shape. 99% chance to make the postseason. Now, let's say they lose to the Vikings, but they beat the Bears and the Rams. Well, that gives Seattle about a 60% chance at the postseason. So not for sure, not a certainty, but certainly favorable if they take care of those 2 games and lose there to Minnesota. Now, what about if you beat Minnesota and Chicago, but lose to the Rams? Well, doesn't help your cause much. About a 15% chance to make the playoffs. So, with that said, all wins are not created equal here. Basically, what needs to happen, if you don't win out, the Seahawks need to win 2 out of their last 3 games, and one of them has to be against the LA Rams. So, as the kids say, do you understand the assignment? Here's the assignment for Seattle. object number one is to win out. Number two, you got to win 2 of the next 3, and one of them is going to be against the Rams. If you do that, you're in good shape. So with that said, will the Seahawks make the playoffs? It's our pinned comment today. Weigh in, let us know what you think. Y for yes, N for no. Chime in the comment section below and let us know. Before we go any further in today's show, let's tell you about our sponsor. That is Game Time. Game Time is the place to go for the best seats, the lowest prices guaranteed. Whether you're looking for tickets to sporting events, concerts, theater productions, comedy shows, and more, Game Time has got you covered, folks. I got to tell you, I'm a big fan of Game Time. I have saved a lot on Game Time. You can save a lot on Game Time, too. Game Time is focused on togetherness this holiday season. That means when you bring people together at live events, the experience is much better, and it's the perfect gift. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals and great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets, looking for tickets to Seahawk games, Kraken games. You name it, they got it all. They have their super deals. If you see a super deal, you don't want to pass up on that. They have their seat views and get the visual, see what your seat is like. You can customize your spot as well to your perfect liking. You choose the event, choose your seat. You're checking out Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, all major credit card providers. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. So as we look at this situation for Seattle in these final 3 games, all 3 are a challenge in a different way from another. Let's go ahead and go piece by piece here. The game against Minnesota this week, the Athletic gives Seattle about a 49% chance to beat the Vikings. It's basically a coin flip game. What version of Sam Darnold are we going to get? He's had a very impressive season, but we know that Sam Darnold has struggled at times too. Are the Seahawks going to do enough to get that version of Sam Darnold? That remains to be seen this week. And also, what's Geno Smith's status going to be like? We've heard that they're pretty optimistic he'll play, but let's see how the week goes. Then it's a short week. Playing on Thursday Night Football just in of itself is a challenge. And now you're going all the way to Chicago, day after Christmas. Could be some bad weather. Who knows? You got about a 53% chance, according to the Athletic, to win that game. And one thing I continue to reiterate, drive home on when it comes to that game against the Bears, a lot of people are going to be quick to write off the Bears, and understandably so. But I know they fired their coaching staff, but those players are playing for their jobs for next season, and they're auditioning for other teams potentially. Same with the coaching staff, for that matter. Even though their season's over, they still have a lot to play for, so don't underestimate Chicago at home there. And then you take on the LA Rams to finish off the season, Week 18 in Los Angeles, and the Athletic gives you about a 47% chance to win that one. If you compare what's ahead between Seattle and Los Angeles, the Rams have a much easier path, and the Rams are playing very, very good football right now as well. We mentioned earlier, they're favored in every game down the stretch. They begin taking on the New York Jets. Jets got to win this past week, though. So who knows? Maybe Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and Garrett Wilson and company can pull something out of their ass, but the Rams are about 55% favorites on the road there. You take on the Arizona Cardinals. And the Athletic has the Cardinals at about an 8% chance to make the playoffs right now. Even though they're only a game back, their chances are pretty slim, but they're still fighting of sorts. They still have something to play for. Rams had about a 53% chance to win that one. And then, of course, the Seahawks game, we showed you the number earlier for Seattle was at 47%. So for the Rams' chances to win this game, quick math, you can do that. That's about a 53% chance for the Rams' chances to beat Seattle there. If we could get a favor, if I could ask for a favor of sorts, this is what it would be. If you are the New York Jets or the Arizona Cardinals, it would be nice if you could help us out a bit. I know that the Seahawks control their own destiny and all that. We don't necessarily need your help, but we won't say no. if you guys are willing and able to take down the Rams. That'd be nice. But if that happens, then that's going to do wonders for this Seahawks team if the Jets or Arizona can pull this off. Now, if we compare the two teams as far as Seattle and LAR goes, as good as they are, according to the models from The Athletic that survey all 32 teams, how they stack up on a neutral field, the Seahawks offense is worth about 21.5 points per game. The defense is worth about 22 points per game. Their opponents on average are about a half point better than them when you compare Seattle to the rest of the 32 teams in the league. Comparably speaking to the Rams, meanwhile, they have better analytics. All those nerd numbers. What did Barkley say a while back? Something about comparing a cook and a chef. You know, the chef numbers, I guess, in this case. You look at the Rams, and they cook a little bit more, with their offense valued about 24 points per game, defense at 22, and an overall that's a +2 margin compared to the -0.5 margin of Seattle. Now, for those of you that may be asking, well, what about the wild card? If it doesn't work out, if we don't win the division, could Seattle end up in the wild card? That's unlikely. 1% chance as of the time of this recording for Seattle to get a wild card spot, one of those three spots at this point in time, currently being held by the Vikings, Packers, and the Commanders. So all in all, it is division or bust for Seattle. If they are going to get in the postseason, more than likely, they are going to have to win the division. It's 1%. It's not totally impossible, but basically don't count on the wild card being your path to the postseason. You basically got to win the division to get there. So, who wins it? Will it be Seattle or will it be Los Angeles? Type C for Seahawks. Type LAR for Los Angeles Rams. Get your predictions in now. Let us know who you think is going to win the division. For continuing Seahawks coverage, subscribe now to Seattle Seahawks Today. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.